for doing this is one very successful wedding toast I gave in June. So we're gonna see how this goes. I'm gonna talk about motherhood, anxiety, and medicine. And I know you're asking yourself, what did someone so very young know about motherhood? And the answer is very little. But the very little that I know is that motherhood is plagued by anxiety. In the Wallace family, it's a gift that mothers pass down to their children. A healthy amount of fear is what reminds us that we are in fact alive. We stoke that anxiety, we tend to it, and we observe it. We always intellectualize it. For us, anxiety is one of the many ways in which mothers show love. And in the Wallace family, it has a very distinct medical quality. And to be fair, like, we are a very sickly bunch. We're held together by Scotch tape and Prozac. My sister is one of the only people I know that did not grow out of her asthma in adulthood. We both got tuberculosis in LA at ages 2 and 4. And we currently get staph infections so frequently, we have a shared mucuricin that moves back and forth between our apartments. Between Maggie and I, we've had to seek professional medical help in 6 countries, and though it's only resulted in 1 hospitalization. These unfortunate facts, however, have only furthered our need to contact medical professionals early and often. And that said, when I became a mother, I thought I would be different because I've gone to so much therapy. And, like, honestly, like, maybe too much therapy. You know, when I adopted my son Roger, R-O-G-I-E-R, the Dutch spelling, in March of 2021, I thought I was gonna be chill. But it turns out he too is sickly, and upon recognizing his delicate makeup, I did as I was taught by my mother and her mother before her, and I contacted his doctor early and often. So I thought I would read some of my correspondence with his doctor, but before I do, I wanted to make sure that everyone in the room had a visual. I don't know if anyone can see this. For those that can't see, Roger is a dog. But on May 3rd, 2020, because it really matters, May 3rd, 2021, at 4:15 p.m. I wrote, "I hope this email finds you all well." Sorry, my fiance printed this out for me and I was not expecting it to go backwards. In regard to Roger's eye gunk, it builds up normally after sleep, so it's particularly bad in the morning. It's a greenish color and generally pretty thick, as you can see in the attached photos. One must always attach photos. I know his eyes were checked 2 weeks ago, but the gunk seems to be building up more now. Not sure what to do, exclamation point. Thanks, Emma. I did not receive an immediate reply. So the next day at 7:34 a.m. I followed up. I wanted to attach another photo of his eye in the morning for your reference. It continued. On Friday, May 28th, I wrote, "Hello, my puppy Roger is a patient of yours!" Exclamation point. I'm writing because I think he has an ear infection, pictures attached. I'm not sure if we need to come in or we can treat it here. He has been itchy and there's been a bit of brown discharge, plus his ear canal is extremely red. Let me know what you all think. Thank you so much, Emma. Continues. On Friday, August 27th, I wrote, "Hello, I hope you are all well!" Exclamation point. My dog Roger, Dutch spelling, is a patient of yours. Roger has a face rash, just slightly red skin. In parentheses, I think it might be an allergy, but I was wondering if there's anything I can do to treat. He's already taken Benadryl. I'm coming by later to pick up his Simparico prescription. So can I pick up anything else while there? Best, Emma. On October 20th, 2021, I wrote, "Hello, I hope you're all well. I am writing because Roger has been itching his front paw quite a bit recently. And when I took a closer look, I saw it's pretty irritated. He's currently eating a limited ingredient duck-based food, which has solved his stomach problems, but I'm not sure if maybe he has another allergy. Not sure if we should come and if there's something we can do from home. Please help. Thanks so much, Emma. In the first year alone, I must have spent $2,000 on my son trying to address his various allergies to no avail. It was like an LA mom, like moving from organic diet to special shampoo. At one point, he was even grain-free. I think my hyperfixation on Roger would have continued, but in December of the year of his birth, I started dating someone. And this someone I started dating, I really liked. And looking back, it almost feels like my falling in love with her took up all the space that was formerly reserved for Roger's allergies. I didn't think people were going to laugh at that one, so that's exciting. This isn't a story about Mighty and me falling in love, so I'm going to skip over that, but I will say it went well. She's around. And about a year later, we decided to move in together. Now, Mighty didn't come solo. She too, at the time of our meeting, was a single mom. So when we decided to move in together, it was really Mighty, me, Roger, Dutch spelling, Vicky, Mighty's sister, and for those that can't see, she's also a dog. So Nola too belongs in the Wallswell family because not only does she have a delicate constitution, she is also very anxious. So anxious that taking her to the vet poses a set of challenges. The most noteworthy being she will not let herself be examined by the doctor. And we've since developed a complex system, which involves my putting Nola in a headlock and Mighty holding her legs up kind of like a Thanksgiving turkey so she doesn't have leverage. But when Nola was diagnosed with heartworm the November after we moved in together, we had not yet developed the fail-safe Nola wrangling system. And I don't know what folks know about heartworm, but it's this parasite. Then the treatment involves frequent trips to the vet so your dog can get these deep tissue injections. But this is when my relationship with our vet and my hypochondria changed. It also activated another Wallace characteristic, which is the dominant trait, impatience with incompetence. Our vet could not stop fucking up. From Nola's sedation notes not being saved to receptionists scheduling appointments in the wrong slots, it was like an unmitigated shit show. And you might ask, like, why didn't you change vets? And first, it took forever, but we had finally found a sedation cocktail that had worked for Nola. It's copious amounts of ketamine. And second, we were now on speaking terms with the director of the clinic due to our many escalations. And the director of the clinic just happens to be a butch lesbian. And we found this out after a particularly bad visit, which did result in our demanding to see our vet supervisor. And when she walked in, I swear to God, the heavens opened, and I heard Brandi Carlile's The Story playing, and Mighty and I felt at ease and also a little turned on. And no offense, like, straight people out there, but like, I just don't trust anyone more than I trust a lesbian. Like, we just get shit done. And so, despite the clerical errors of the vet's office, we persevered. And Nola is now heartworm-free. It's strange because when it was just me making decisions about Roger's yeasty paws, things felt like really high stakes. But facing the risk of Nola's potential pulmonary embolism was in some ways less stressful. Partially, I think it's because it turns out sharing decision-making responsibility rocks. I love looking at Mighty and saying, what do you think? And partially that's because I really respect the shit out of her opinion, and the ability to collaborate on decision making, makes things a little bit easier. But I also think Nola getting sick kind of like put things into perspective for me that like Roger was fine. Like his allergies kind of got bad last year, and his paws got like a little bit bald for a while, but like it's okay. And we overcame a lot, and not just like the incredibly high medical bills, to bring Nola and Roger together into our beautiful blended family. I mean, Mighty and I are both bilingual, but when parenting our children solo, we had defaulted to our native languages. So when Roger and Nola first met, Roger only spoke English, and Nola only spoke Spanish. So this caused a lot of communication challenges between the two of them, obviously, and Marty and I had to translate. But luckily they're now both proficient in English and Spanish, and they are in fact best friends. Marty and I would like to have human children someday, assuming they're still allowed to in Trump's America. It's very scary, but I am hopeful that our experiences with our dog children will make us better parents to humans. And I can say, at least for me, next time I have a baby, I'm gonna be chill. Thank you.
Just too hilarious. Another round of applause for that girl. Yay! You are a great mother. All right, so our next storyteller, Avisha Michael, is a ceramic artist, and she's counting down the days until she can garden again. Avisha. That was creepy. I was driving my 1994 camper van Lottie from LA into the Eastern Sierras for the first time. She was named Lottie, L-O-T-I, because she was lavender on the inside, and she was lavender from floor to ceiling. She really was. Just follow my Instagram. She was truly my cocoon of safety during the pandemic. It was 4th of July, and I had to get out of LA because fireworks were just too stressful for me at the time, so I needed to get out of LA and as far into nature as I could. Nature was always my refuge. So we drove through the desert, up the 395, into the mountains towards the Eastern Sierras. And the higher we got in elevation, a huge thunderstorm rolled in, and it was pure magic. Lightning bolted all around us, and the clouds just spilled over all the mountaintops. And the contrast of light and shadow was absolutely exquisite. As a film photographer, I always camp with my phone camera, so I finally understood why it was called Ansel Adams Wilderness for the first time. We drove about 5 hours, Lottie and I, and we finally got to the dirt road which led to the off-grid campground. And that meant no cell service, no Wi-Fi, no water, no lights. I drove on this dirt road that was so narrow on the edge of this cliff. It was a total downpour. And I finally asked myself, what are you doing? There was no one in sight. But then I saw the hot springs below, and I knew that I had gotten to location. Bless you. I arrived just as the storm started to clear, which is a really sweet welcome. And the first thing I did was put $10 in this little green box at the host trailer that was there, and there was no one around, because I absolutely love a good fire, but I also loathe mosquitoes, and the smoke always helps. I parked Lottie under this family of pine trees. I picked a site with a lot of large pine trees, and I took my chair out, put it at the fire pit, and I decided to go for a walk just to let things dry off. And the path was so quiet. There was no one around. It was a path going up the mountain with wildflowers on either side, and the smell of the post-rain and the wet pine needles under my feet while the light just started to stream through the trees. I felt like I had the whole forest to myself. It was so special. And it reminded me of the very first time that I ever went camping as a little girl. My dad took me on a week-long backpacking trip into the rugged Colorado Rockies when I was just 8 years old, just he and I. And we hiked day after day on the soft brown bed of the forest floor, and we carried these really big packs on our shoulders with everything we needed to survive for the week. And we hiked under bright blue skies, we hiked in the rain, just like tonight, and we slept under blankets of stars. My dad was a creative and a musician growing up. He wasn't like the other dads. When other kids got to go play sports with their dads, my dad would take me to pubs here in Chicago while his band played. And while other families got to go to Disneyland, we got to go to off-grid cabins in the woods. And I grew up in an extremely healthy household. There was absolutely no sugar allowed in the house at all, which is probably why it's my drug of choice today. And we only had 1 hour of TV a week. True story. And he picked it. And it was Knight Rider with David Hasselhoff.
Good choice.
Good choice. On the first day of our trip, hiking up into the Rockies, I was leading because I've always had this thing, even at a young age, where I don't like to be last in line on a forest path. And so I was leading the way, and we came up to this clearing. I saw this clearing, and I saw this little creek, and I saw a tiny, fuzzy little baby bear. And I, in my little 8-year-old self, just like could hardly contain it. But then my father came up and put his hand over his mouth, grabbed my hand, and slowly walked me away until we got far enough that he leaned down and he told me, whenever you see a baby bear, there is always a mother bear around. And we're in grizzly country, and they can kill you. Harsh, I didn't quite understand it, but it was a really important lesson that he was teaching me that day. That night on our first day, we picked a site under a big circle of pine trees, and he showed me how to pitch a tent, and we threw a rope over, a limb of a tree, a branch, and to keep it from the bears. And we were changing out of what my dad would always call street clothes into our pajamas, and I heard him yelling. And I came running, not that far, but it was dark. And I saw him, he was standing there with a flashlight and a knife to his stomach. And I was like, Dad, and he said, just wait, it's a tick. So he taught me about ticks that night, which has really helped me in my own adventures into nature over the years. This was a time where it was just my dad and I. I was 5 years old, my parents divorced, and I went with my dad, and he raised me. And this moment in the forest, because I felt safe in the forest because of him, kind of rattled me. But he made a fire. I loved fires even at a young age. And then after that, we crawled into the tent, and I drifted off to sleep how I always did. I would sleep with my cheek in the palm of my dad's hand as my pillow. And I tried that with every man I dated. But it was never quite the same as my dad's hand. My dad always took me to nature growing up. We would do camping trips as adults, and we had a really, really strong connection. But as we got older, our relationship became more strained, more challenging. And I grew up really poor. My dad always struggled financially. And I overcame that by being really self-reliant and having impeccable credit, because it was all I had to my name. It was my only sense of security. But at one point, my dad made some really selfish decisions and some choices that shattered me. And it destroyed my credit, and it destroyed my sense of security. But more than anything, it really broke the trust that I have with my dad. And I really needed time, but at the time we ended up becoming estranged. And we became estranged for several years. I needed my own time to work through my anger, my own hurt, but in 2022, I got a call that my dad died. And I let out a curdling scream, and I fell to my kitchen floor, because losing my dad while estranged is the most gut-wrenching pain I've ever had to live with in my life. And I don't have many regrets, but it is one of my regrets, and my greatest. In many ways, it was a healthy thing at the time to be estranged when we were. But while it was healthier in some ways, it was always so utterly painful to be estranged from him. I always felt like it was just a missing piece for the years before he died. And often I would be reminded of this story that he would read to me, Shel Silverstein. I don't know if anyone is familiar with The Missing Piece, but he would sing that little song, I'm searching for my missing piece, grease my knees and fleece my bees, I'm searching for my missing piece. And yet, as hard as it was to not have him in my life before he died, every single time I would go and escape into nature, I felt so comforted. I felt tethered to him in a way that I didn't anywhere else. And it was just like that 4th of July camping trip when I was on my own and we were estranged before he died. Before I went back to LA, I was sitting on a log and my bare feet were on the ground and I was just listening to the trees rustling above. And I was breathing the fresh, clean air. And I felt his presence strongly. And I heard him reminding me what he always did my whole life, that the closest thing I have is my breath. I will always cherish that my dad took me and gifted me nature in a way that stayed with me my whole life as a little girl, because it's where I go, it's my sanctuary, it is my refuge, it's where I go to heal. And in so many ways, my dad is closer to me than he's ever been in my life before. Thank you.
with and lose and connect with again. And that's what this kind of night is about, is that we all have our own stories and there's pieces of them that are also our stories. Thank you so much. So also, I think you all should start calling me Lottie because I think I'm laughing around the inside. As far as I can tell. We have another storyteller coming up. I'm really excited. So, Casey, she's an improviser. I'm an improviser. Casey's an improviser from all back in the day. So we love a good improviser here at Louder Than a Mom. She has, sold out Chicago to move to the western suburbs. But, we also are proud of her show, In Bed by 10. It's been a big hit, and we're really excited to please welcome to the stage Casey Alta. Go, girl!
Oh, we're not going to be in Bed by 10 tonight because this is a 5-hour story. Just kidding. I've only done storytelling a couple times, and I was like, do I use a script or not? I'm not going to it. Improviser. I also didn't invite any friends tonight because I was too scared. So I've been trying to make some friends. Thank you, and I've got friends everywhere, even if I haven't met you yet. So thank you, friends. I did meet Angie and Krista, and it went great. I walked up, and they were Michelle's friends, our first storyteller. So I walked up to break the ice, and he said, "Are you also from Berwyn?" And Angie said, "No, I'm drinking gin." So we're all real tight. All right, so, is this still working? All right, so the theme, Family Matters. For anyone here that has... What? Oh, okay, I thought you were talking to me. This can be interactive, I don't care. For those of us that have chosen, in italics, to be a parent, whether that be an animal or a human, you love on a whole new level. That's love that you feel for that person, that ruthless protection is something you've never felt in your life before. And on the same hand, you desperately want to get the fuck away from them all of the time. So as someone who has become a human parent, I realized two things. One, they physically hurt you a lot when they're smaller. And two, you need to step away from time to time. That could be a trip to Target. It could be a dinner out with friends. It could be an amazing weekend in Baltimore, Maryland. And not a lot of us are dying to go to Baltimore, especially early in the spring, but my husband and I had a friend getting married there in April of 2022, and we thought, okay, the perfect excuse to get our family to watch the kids is an obligation, right? So could you please watch the boys? We're going to Ben's wedding in Baltimore. Great. The first night, his brother Scott's taking care of them, and after that, his parents will be taking care of them. We had had a very rough couple weeks leading up to this trip. Lots of sickness, busyness at work, problems with a remodel we were doing in the house, just, white privilege shit, but it was problems. And so when we were let loose, we got loose. We were drunk before we were even at 30,000 feet in the air. We got to the airport in the morning and had a mimosa, and then another, and then I poured a third into my Yeti and took it on the plane, which I'm pretty sure is a federal offense, so friends. We got to the airport in Baltimore, and we had another drink at our arrival airport. Who has a drink at their arrival airport? Granted, we were waiting for another friend to land from his flight from Detroit, but still, no one needed that. We took the train into the city, more drinks. We checked into our Airbnb in the safe pocket of Baltimore, where we took a nap to rally for the evening. Luckily, after that disco nap, we were ready to go to the rehearsal. And we had a great time, and for some reason, continued to poison our bodies. Great times, blah, blah, blah. I don't really remember. Flash forward, I'm hungover. Wickedly hungover. We get up, we think the cure is going to be to head to the local diner for a beer, or a beer. I swear I did that one. A burger and fries. And the brother-in-law calls. He lets me know that Marvin, the 2-year-old, is very lethargic. He has a fever of 103, and he doesn't feel well. Okay. He's taking him to the doctor. Thank you. After lunch, the guys go back to the Airbnb. I had to Dwayne Reed, or whatever it's called, to gather provisions like Gatorades and anything else that can kind of help save this train today before the wedding. Then I get the FaceTime call. It's Scott, the brother-in-law, with their mother that has now arrived, and the doctor who wants to talk to me. Marvin has RSV. He's 2. He has a spiked fever. He's dehydrated. He has low oxygen. He needs to go to the hospital. Okay. And it'll probably be an overnight stay. Okay. And I think you should be here. Okay. I go back to the Airbnb, I wake them up and I say, I have to go. On the way, my mind is just spinning. Okay, so I'm a fucking shitty mom. 1, we got that one covered. 2, I have to go home. 3, this weekend, it was stupid. I should have never done this. 4, I'm also gonna miss the wedding and I'm gonna miss this day trip to DC to visit some other friends, but that doesn't matter, I have to go home. So I do. We make a plan and I'm going to leave. Mark's gonna stay for the wedding, I'm leaving on the 4:10. I take a shower, pack my bags, throw the fuck up, and leave. As I walk out of the Airbnb doors of the Airbnb in our safe pocket of Baltimore, I am stopped by police tape. It is covering the entire stairway, so there's nowhere for me to go. Caution, do not pass. Well, I have to get to the train, I have it planned, my flight's at 4:10. So I casually duck underneath the police tape and start walking my way to the train station, the only direction I know how according to my Google Maps. Of course, I'm immediately swarmed by 2 SWAT officers, both female by the way, hello. And they say, ma'am, what are you doing? This is a police zone. This is a crime scene. I'm sorry, I just need to know how to get to the train. All right, we will escort you. As they're escorting me, a little bit of my humor comes from my father, as much as I hate that, and I just couldn't help myself but to say, "Just like The Wire, huh?" To which one of them said, "Yes." They get me through the police scene where I see a SWAT photographer taking photos. I see little numbers laying around a car. I see someone sleeping underneath the car. And I get my way to the train. Now, I love a city with public transportation, but at this point, I am in a hurry. I am hungover, and I have been car sick since I can literally remember. So why am I getting on this stop-and-go trolley through Baltimore to get to the airport? I don't know. Stop and go, and stop and go, and stop and go, and I'm gonna throw up. I don't know what to do. There's no bathrooms on these trains, as there shouldn't be. I can't get off the train because I don't have enough time. I don't know what to do. So luckily I'm the only person on my car. I grab the trusty Yeti. I open it up and I throw up inside of it. I had more than 24 ounces to give, however, so the rest of the throw up ends up on the floor of the T. And if it's, you don't have to feel sorry for me. It's my fault. And if anyone in here has given birth to a child, if you throw up, what's the other thing you do? Poop. I was gonna say pee, but yeah, stuff's gonna come out. You no longer have full control of your bodily functions. So as I threw up, I peed a little, leaving a lot of my bodily fluids to the Baltimore T. Luckily, I was the only person on the car until at one stop, 3 gentlemen joined me. They were, I don't want to judge them by their look, but they looked a little down on their luck. They were dirty, their clothes were very large, they were loud, their hair looked horrible, they were yelling about somebody who owed them money or the stuff, and literally I'm living in The Wire. And in this entire gigantic car, they sit right next to me. Of course. I try to ignore them, just look out the window, and one of them looks over and says, "Hey hun, watch out for that," and points to my throw up that is all over the ground. I can't help but be honest and let him know that it's mine, and I'm really sorry. And he says, "It's all right, hon. It happens to the best of us." And I so appreciated him in this moment. As I judged him as he got on that train, he looked at me completely judgment-free as I'd thrown up on this train. Hiding by shame, I look at my phone to see about how much longer I have to the airport. I should be making decent time. As I look at it, my little blue dot of shame in Google Maps has diverted to the left. I'm on the wrong fucking train. My train time has just jumped from 20 minutes to 60. I need to get off at the next stop. Just to make sure, I lean over and ask my friend, "Is this train going to the airport?" To which he says, "No, hun." Now he is judging me. At the next stop, I get off. I grab all my stuff and I look around. I'm looking on my phone. Is there Uber? Is there Lyft? I have to get to the airport. I have to make this 4:10. There's nothing. The huge parking lot expansively is empty except for this one red car that I'm pretty sure is a cab, so I run. It is a cab indeed, and for some reason it's just fucking sitting there, and it's open, so he says he'll take me to the airport. Okay, great. This is gonna be fine. I'm totally gonna make it. There are planes really low in the air. I'm gonna make it. We get in. We're going. All of a sudden, he gets a flat motherfucking tire. But he keeps driving, so I don't say anything. He slows down to 30, but if he's all right with it, I'm okay with it. We keep going. I have a flat tire. Yeah, I thought you did. I'm gonna keep going. Thank you. All of a sudden, another flat tire. I'm gonna have to pull over. Sure. He pulls over. We're still on the highway, but we're on that highway that always leads directly to the airport. You know what I mean? At this point, you're either going to departures or arrivals. And he says, "Go ahead, grab your stuff. You don't have to pay." Thanks, man. I grab my stuff. I don't know what to do. This is a highway. This bus pulls over. Lucky me? I run up to the bus. Yeti full of barf in my hand. I don't know why. I still have it. "Oh my God, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Can you take me to the airport?" "You know, I just talked to my supervisor, hon, and You know that everyone's called Hun in Baltimore. And I can't. I've got cameras all over this thing, and they will not let me take you. I said, please, I'm just desperate. I just need to get to the airport. No, I'm sorry, hon. So apparently this person valued her job more than me getting to my son. So I turned, in my most desperate moment of the day, into traffic. I stick out my thumb. I hold my Yeti of my own, and I sob. Who's gonna pull over for this lady? Nobody is the answer. Nobody pulled over, and rightfully so, except for another bus of the exact same model of the one that pulled over earlier. Great. Run over to that one. Hi. He explains to me that he can't pick me up because there are cameras all over this car and his supervisor will fire him. And I'm like, I know all about your company at this point. Do you have any advice? Yes. If you run down that ramp right over there, you're gonna find where all the taxis sit and wait to get called up to the airport. Great. Still haven't dumped that barf. I get there and I just see it. At the end of the ramp, there is a sea of yellow cabs. This has got to be what's gonna get me there. Clearly the airport is right there. I can see all of the planes. Of course, as just one last fuck you at the end of my journey, the last cab in line says, oh yeah, we can probably give you a ride, but you gotta go up to the front of the line. We're all in order. Fair enough, another quarter mile. Get in the cab, he comps the ride and gets me to the gates that I need to be. I throw up one last time leaving my mark in Baltimore, and I dump my barf, because you can't carry more than 3 ounces on a plane. And I make it home, despite the teenagers that were leaving their trip from DC that stacked their trash up on my legs as I slept on the flight. I didn't care. 10 hours after I talked to that doctor, I was in the hospital room with my little sleeping 2-year-old in his little medical crib. He was safe. His oxygen had improved. Everything was looking better. He had his little monitor on. There is no vacation in the world that was as peaceful and wonderful as sleeping on that chair in his hospital room. I would pick that over Target, dinner with friends, and definitely a fucking trip to Baltimore. It was a reminder that no matter what you do in life, how old your kids get, if they leave the house, if you go on a million adventures, you are always still a parent. Thank you.
So 2022. But you know what? 2024 sucks too, so here we go. But we're not gonna make it suck. We're just gonna exist in it, right? We're not gonna make it worse. We're just gonna do this. And we're gonna make it better. As far as I can say. I want to thank you all so much for coming. We are so glad you were here to celebrate our 10th year with Louder Than a Mom. This was our last show of 2024, but we will be back 2025. Please go to louderthanamom.com. Check us out. Martyrs will have it listed. If you would love to tell a story, we would love to hear your story. So check out our new themes coming in the new year at louderthanamom.com. Send us a message, and we would love to have you up here telling a story. Thank you to Kate, who's always our amazing leader. Dee is not here tonight, but Dee, we are so glad that you have organized all of this stuff. And if you guys have any questions, if you want to buy any merchandise, please come and see us. But thank you again so much for coming, and have an amazing night. Thank you.